Coach, the podium is yours.
Appreciate it. It's good to be back. Certainly means that the season is right around the corner, which I couldn't be more excited about. I always, when I come to this event, it reminds me again how fortunate I am to be the head coach at a place like Virginia Tech. A place that I love. I'm very thankful for Whit Babcock, our athletic director, our president, Dr. Tim Sands, our board of visitors, for the opportunity to coach these guys and represent Virginia Tech. I'm also very excited and proud of the guys that we brought today to help represent our team, our players, our organization. Outstanding young men that represent everything that Virginia Tech is about, that I want our program to be about. I'm excited and encouraged by the leadership from our players, from our new coordinators, our new strength and conditioning coach. We made some upticks in some really important areas in our program. We needed to have the type of off-season that we're having. Our roster is deeper. We've had an influx of talented transfers, high school signees, and young men that we've developed in the program over the last couple of years. Guys that we've recruited and have been in the system for multiple years. I'm also excited and encouraged by the type of off-season we've had. When we reflected on the 2024 year, it was evident to me that we needed to be a more mentally and physically tough team. That starts with me, and we've addressed it in each phase of our off-season program, the winter, the spring, and the summer. The leadership that Jarrett Ferguson's provided in the strength and conditioning arena has been outstanding. The changes on defense with Sam Siefkas, offense with Phil Montgomery and Matt Moore. I'm a big fan of our staff and our players right now. The other thing that we did this offseason, we doubled down on our team building. In today's game, with the influx of players, the transfers, the high school additions, now more than ever, and especially at a place like Virginia Tech, team is where it starts and ends. So the guys have embraced it, the coaches have embraced it. We've had several unique opportunities to grow as a team, to become more and more selfless and put this team first, put this brotherhood first. We're making great strides in that area as well. I couldn't be more excited about the team that we have the opportunity to be. Excited about the opener. The opportunity, that's why these young men come to Virginia Tech. To play on the big stage, to play on national TV, to play a marquee opponent that's very talented, well coached, arguably a playoff team last year. So we've got a lot to prove in Blacksburg, and we've still got this preseason camp to attack and make sure we make the most of it. I'll take some questions, please.
Coach, thank you. Folks, if you would, please identify yourselves and the agency that you are with, and we will actually start left side. The gentleman in the green shirt, we put in new protocol because of the lighting. If you would, from about the third row back, if you would please stand so our student athletes and coaches can see you. Thank you much.
How you doing, Coach?
Good.
Colby Dant, college football experience. You were 0-6 in games by 10 points or less last year. Have you made that a point of emphasis of closing out games this offseason?
Yeah, we've certainly talked about it a lot, as well as everybody else. But first of all was coaching decisions, making sure we're making the right decisions, not just at the end of the game, but throughout the game. And then secondly, being the team that is more mentally and physically tough and prepared at the end of the game to close it out. So there's a couple different areas that we focused on to make sure we're better there. And certainly we've talked about it. We've leaned into it as a program. how close we were to being the team that we want to be. We were competitive week in and week out and just kept finding ways to come up short as a staff and as a team. So, we should arguably be improved in that area. We've put a lot of emphasis there.
Coach right side, it'll be about middle of the room.
Hello, Coach Steve with College Football Sunday. Making my first trip to Lane Stadium this year. Can you speak on the advantage of having 7 games at Lane Stadium?
Yeah, I'd like to have 8 or 9 every year, to be honest. One of the most unbelievable environments in all of college football. I'm glad you're coming. You're not going to be disappointed. From the entrance throughout. We got an incredible fan base. Blue jeans, sweatshirts, standing all game long, cheering all game long. Our guys can speak more about it, but it's a great atmosphere to play in, to coach in, to watch a football game in. Certainly love it, a home game versus an away game.
Coach will go to the left side, again, about the middle of the room.
Hello there, Owen Hillman, WVFS Tallahassee. So, as a former defensive coordinator for several years, could you speak to the transfers in the edge room?
One more time, I'm sorry.
As a former defensive coordinator, going into the coaching ranks, could you speak to the transfers in the edge room? Could you speak to what are you most excited about with them?
Yeah, first of all, I'm excited about the coordinator hire we've made. Coach Siefkas he's young, but he has some really good experiences. At the college level, tremendous success at Wofford, a couple of different ways. And then in the NFL, not just that he was in the league, but the defensive minds that he spent time with while coaching there. So, and then the additions from the transfer, we needed a shot in the arm in our secondary with some depth, some safety type bodies, some guys that can track the ball and tackle, and we helped ourselves there. Then I love what we've done. We needed to reinforce the depth at linebacker with J.K. and Caleb, and we were able to do that with a couple of young men out of the portal. And then we've helped ourselves, up front. We've supplied a bunch of depth at all positions along the front and tackle. So I think we've added the depth, we've added the experience, and we've added some talent on that side of the ball. And we were able to do some of that with the new system in place, being able to make sure we have what Coach Siefkas needs from a personnel standpoint.
Coach right side, just up the center aisle.
Coach, QCB, Fox Sports Radio, Charlotte. Your first 2 games at the gate, you're taking on 2 SEC schools. The first one in South Carolina with, Sellers possibly could be a Heisman candidate, and then Vandy, we got you guys last year, the close one to overtime. What's the mindset or the approach you're going to take and tell the team when you're going against these 2 SEC opponents, the first 2 games of the season?
Yeah, honestly, in general, we feel like we have something to prove. And that's been the mindset, since the end of the season. So the opportunity to play South Carolina, to play Vanderbilt at night in Lane Stadium, again, that's why these guys come to Virginia Tech. That's why I wanted to be back. And the standards and the expectations are to beat those guys, to win those games, like Tech did for a bunch of years. And, so it's challenging. South Carolina is a hell of a football team. They've recruited well. They got a ton of momentum. They got a dynamic edge guy. They got an ultra-talented quarterback. We got our hands full. But we're up for the challenge. And, we're working every day to be the best team that we can be, to go down there and play a good brand of football. And then, Vanderbilt, great respect for Clark Lee. I know Clark. He's done a tremendous job. I coached at Vanderbilt 3 years. I know the challenges in that place. And he's done a tremendous job. They'll bring a really good football team in here, and they got their own quarterback that's awful talented. So, but I like our group. I like our quarterback. I like our guys. I like the direction we're going. This team right now is the closest to the vision I have for Virginia Tech football, for what I want us to be and who I want us to be. We're closer than we've ever been.
Coach left side, first row.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, new offensive coordinator Philip Montgomery's had a lot of experience, as a head coach and an OC in a lot of different places. What did you see in him that you felt like was going to be the right fit for your team here with the Hokies?
Yeah, that's a great question. And It's pretty easy to answer. First of all, I wanted somebody that would give us the best opportunity, us and Kyron, for him to reach all of his potential and then some. And when you look at Phil's track record with quarterbacks, it's hard to argue that he's not the right guy to do that. And then secondly, to bring a play caller in here that has a proven plan, that he believes in, that he is super knowledgeable about, that you're not reinventing the wheel every week and trying to find answers and trying to find solutions and trying to, that we can invest and buy into a plan and a system and have answers. And Phil provides all that. He's an experienced play caller. He's a veteran quarterback developer, and he's an outstanding person. So feel very fortunate to have him with us.
Coach, we're going to go right side. You can focus on the camera ahead of you and then go just to the right.
Hey Coach, Noah Chast, ACC Columbia. You touched on it a few answers ago, but starting the season with South Carolina, in your early preparation, what has stood out to you about that team? And then from your side, what are the strengths you have that you think matches up well with South Carolina?
Yeah, first of all, I think the way they responded to adversity early in their season, testament to Shane and to that group of coaches and players to rally back and finish the way they did. And, they've notched some big wins. Which is where we're still trying to get. We came awful close on a Friday night down in Miami, but we haven't garnered that type of win. And South Carolina presents an opportunity to do that. They're arguably a top 10 group. They're talented on both fronts. They've got a really, their defensive line is productive. They're athletic. They're tenacious. They got a great plan defensively. I think the quarterback's one of the best in the country, and he's only going to get better. I think the pieces around him, the offensive line down the stretch played as well as any group out there. And, veteran coaches, and I know they're doing it the right way. We're going to have our hands full, but we've got a good group. And, we're hungry and we're competing and we're deeper. We've got a bunch of transfers, but these transfers have a ton of experience. Guys with a lot of reps at other places. And, they've really come together nicely. And, it's going to be a dogfight. We're going to give them everything that we got, that's for sure.
Coach, we're going to squeeze in your last question, second row, left side.
Chris Powell, Couch Coach Live. Coach, from a recruiting standpoint, the Richmond, Virginia area, how does that stack up against other regions in the state of Virginia and also nationally?
Yeah, Richmond's come on strong. And KG's a testament to that. He'll be happy to answer that question too. They brag about it, fight about it, argue about it all the time. But Richmond's been a great area to us. There's coaches in that area that are Virginia Tech guys that went to school at Tech, that played at Tech. There's a long history of guys having success at Virginia Tech from Richmond. Obviously, the whole Commonwealth is important to us. We've made a real emphasis to invest in our state. There's more than enough good football players in the state of Virginia to compete for championships. But, Richmond and the connections there have been very valuable to us and will continue to be.
Coach, thank you. You can switch places with Kyron, and we will talk